Hi all. So this is my third attempt at making this video, and it's now almost 10:45 at night, and it's been a long day for me, and I'm quite tired. However, if I don't make this video now, I'm not sure when I'll have the chance to make this video because things have been busy for me lately, and it's going to continue being busy for me. It's not just my day job that's quite busy, but it's also some of the things that I do on my own uh, that's keeping me quite occupied. So, what do I want to talk about in this video? So, in this video, I'll talk about one of the problems that I solved recently at work. So, what's happening here was that a couple of weeks ago, we had this problem at work where uh, when we were deploying a build, it was running fine locally. It was successful, and it was even going through the pipelines just fine. But once we deploy it, the UI wasn't quite behaving as it's supposed to behave, and this was quite concerning, and it caused a lot of grief to a lot of stakeholders. And I only just realized the severity of this issue when I realized when I got to know the seniority of the people reaching out to me, asking me to help fix this problem. And mind you, at this point, my team was at my team and I we were at 50% capacity, so we just didn't have the entire team to help diagnose or find this diagnose the issue, isolate the problem, and then implement a fix. So yeah, I was called in, and it was it was an interesting problem. So what was unique about me approaching this problem was the fact that I hadn't quite worked on the system for a couple of months. So I was going in as with a fresh pair of eyes. But the way I solved this particular problem, or the way I diagnosed the issue, the way I isolated it and found a solution and implemented a fix for it, was quite was I'd just say just old-fashioned command line geekery. Okay, just with the use of command line tool. So it was fun, and it was just uh, I'll just let you know what it was. It was using Git bisect. Now Git bisect is awesome, but before I talk about that, let me talk about the issue. So as I mentioned, we had a build that would break the UI. Let's just say that. So to fix it in the immediate, uh, um, to fix it for the an urgent fix for that was we managed to deploy. My team managed to deploy the last stable build, but the issue was still there because the last. So let's say we've got the last stable build here. There you go. This is the build which once we deploy the UI works as we expect it to, and then we've got the latest from master where we've got a build and we deploy it and the UI fails. So the problem, so the stable build is this commit hash, and the unstable build is the most recent hash. So the problem was somewhere in between. So as you can actually think, if you're a computer scientist or if you've done any sort of software development, the solution to this problem was binary search, and of course you can just manually check out the commit hashes and uh, try to try to assess the state of the build at each commit hash that you manually check out by applying binary search. So obviously you first check out the middle commit, and then if it's good or if it depending on the state of the commit, you either move up or down. Standard binary search. So I used Git bisect, and for me it was a great opportunity to use this because it's been some time since I've actually used this tool. Um, Git is an awesome version control system, and I don't use the UI. I don't actually use the IntelliJ or the VS Code UI to do my version control stuff. I still use either Git Bash on a Windows system or the terminal on a MacBook or any sort of Linux-based OS, any sort of Linux-based machine. So yeah, it was good. So we had the since I knew the good and the bad commit, and since the most recent build was actually breaking the UI, I had to work after hours so that when I'm trying a bunch of stuff to find out the bad commit, I do not break UI and interrupt other people's workflow who are working during the daytime. This is why I chose to do it after hours, and so I started solving the problem first, trying to find and isolate the problem by starting with doing a git bisect, starting with the bad commit and the the good commit and the bad commit, um, and then at each stage of git commit, what I would do is I'd create a branch, I'd push it, and then I'll trigger a build, and then I'll check the UI, whether or not the UI is behaving the way it's behaving. After a few stages, I managed to locate the bad commit, and this is the fun in software development, isn't it? The problem is actually extremely simple. To be honest, it just needed a fresh pair of eyes. The thing in the bad commit that was causing the build to fail, or causing the build to to fail the UI, was simply that there was some code there which was quite buried deep within, and combined with some legacy code which was not quite behaving the way we expected to behave, and that was causing the problem, and that was making it harder to find the issue, because the error that the system was throwing when you run the UI, so we would actually track it in Splunk, was something completely different. It was very easy to push you off track, and in reality the problem was really just one line of code that was causing all of this grief. So anyway, I found out what the problem was. I socialized it with the team that was there and with the rest of the stakeholders, and after a couple of discussions and all that, I implemented a fix for it, and it's now successfully deployed and it's running it's all good, it's all fine. So the reason why I was quite happy about using git bisect at this point was because I'm sure you know, or most of you who are software engineers, you know, as we get senior in our careers, we do spend a lot of time in and meetings, and for a lot of things we've got to socialize, make a pitch, assess the pros and cons, and present certain designs, and ensure that the people that we're presenting it to understand, any sort of stakeholders that we're presenting it to understand what we're talking about, and we've got to work hard to make a convincing enough argument for them to be convinced what we're talking about. So yes, as we get more senior, we do spend a lot of time on this. Therefore, when presented with such a problem, it was just really rewarding for me to just roll up my sleeves, get in, and just give this a go. So okay, so yes, I do build systems, but for this particular system, and the fact that it was using this version of Java, no, it was the latest version of Java, and then it was good to work on. It was quite rewarding for me to actually go in and just have a crack at it. It was a lot of fun. I enjoyed it quite a bit, as you can already tell from my reaction right now. Okay, so thank you very much for those of you who are watching this video. That's pretty much it. So I think that's a good point for me to close this, and get some sleep, because it's almost 11 p.m. now. So yeah, I'm recording this video quite late. So well, thanks for watching. I wish you well. Live long and prosper.